If there's really one way to describe Sunny Hostin and her recent behavior, and quite frankly her behavior in the past several years on ABC/Disney via The View, which is the program that really spews an ongoing agenda, is that she is nothing more than Cloudy Hostin. Now, focusing on Sunny in particular, we know that she is one that is shoehorning her agenda onto the general public. She has these very toxic and very inflammatory comments that have gone viral and backfired on her overall career, her image, and rightfully so, by the way. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, in the past 5.5 weeks, right around that time frame, we have seen this cultural shift happen within the overall country. We know that there's a lot of change happening right now within the media, within Hollywood, within different organizations and companies out there, dropping DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and those departments one by one. Some studios, yes, are trying to latch on to that. I won't lie about that. That is an actual thing happening right now. Disney's trying to keep that intact at all costs. But what's interesting about Bill Maher, alright, now as much as I am of a critic of the guy, and really not a fan of Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO, one thing I will say about Bill Maher is that it seems like that now he's yet another example of one individual in particular within the film industry, within the media, that are beginning to turn on people's backs, right? Are beginning to really eat each other when the chips are down. This is exactly why he wants nothing to do with George Clooney anymore. He wants nothing to do with Robert De Niro coming on his show. And the latest example has to do with Sunny Hostin. Let's get into this, shall we? Now, specifically, of course, with both the media and Hollywood continuing to take part in the blame game and are eating each other since November 5th, one monumental development going on now that is rather shocking involves more to do with both Sunny Hostin and Bill Maher. It turns out that Sunny has been pressured by her agent to move on to other programs to share her side of the story on how she has been coping with the fact that she is being blamed for the 2024 loss. Now, already Hostin and her team have been in contact with the HBO studio executives, including Bill Maher himself, attempting to work out a deal to go on his show, much like Robert De Niro and George Clooney tried to do and failed. Surprisingly, Bill Maher recently had a moment of outrage with Sunny Hostin after she was making a series of demands when she plans to go on his show in 2025 that all fell apart when the new season starts, is that not only did she want to use her opportunity to expand her reach to other groups out there for being blamed for losing in 2024, but also she wanted to double down on her political agenda on Bill Maher's show. This is where everything recently escalated to the point where Bill Maher, individually of course, informed Sunny Hostin that she is getting banned from his show and never wants her to appear on Real Time with Bill Maher, period, the end. Things got worse, as it turns out, after Sunny Hostin was pressuring Bill Maher to actually improve the ratings of The View and to promote her voice of reason with politics by serving as a guest host. Maher and the HBO executives came to the conclusion that this would backfire in a very substantial way, where they would lose a large amount of HBO subscriptions if Maher turned, of course, this episode essentially into a promotional deal for The View via ABC. Now, Sunny Hostin now reportedly, of course, resents Bill Maher completely after getting rejected to go on his show in 2025 to express her concerns with The View's ratings disaster and pushing to promote the works of developing a podcast that she wanted to promote on Bill Maher, and to Bill's actions, he viewed that as a deal breaker and the main reason to exclude her from HBO entirely. Now guys, before I move on, let me just say one thing about this. Now, like I said earlier, I'm a heavy critic of Bill Maher, not a fan of the guy at all, but I do respect any of you guys out there that, you know, watch his show or recently watched the show, or maybe you once were a fan of the guy. But one thing I will say about Bill Maher is that he is one of many examples of personalities on television that are beginning to show a different side and are beginning to really try to play both sides at this point to keep an audience. That's what it seems like to me, and that's what it really comes across as. But when you look at someone like Sunny Hostin, who wanted to go on a show, she's trying to cope with the fact that she is blamed for the 2024 loss, and she doesn't know, quite frankly, how to deal with that, other than to share her side of the story on programs other than The View, because let's face it, we know that The View is an echo chamber, and a very tight one at that. It's a very niche-driven show. But Bill Maher, I think, made the right call by excluding Sunny Hostin from using this opportunity to not only promote herself, but to also, of course, double down on her political agenda. But she also wanted to promote a new podcast that is in the works that she wants to use as a way to expand beyond The View. Now look, I think that this is all happening in light of conversations at ABC/Disney that they want to fire Sunny Hostin, they want to rid her, and they want to get rid of her off that show to replace her with a more argumentative voice that would actually challenge Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, etc., etc. Moving onwards, alright, this is where it gets a little bit worse, is that Hostin already played the race card toward Bill Maher behind the scenes. Not just toward him, however, but also to the studio heads of HBO that run Real Time with Bill Maher, and it created a larger issue behind closed doors than what happened between Bill and George Clooney, along with Robert De Niro. This is the latest example of more and more studios and personalities beginning to weed out the extreme voices that hold a toxic political rhetoric that does not resonate with specific audience members. Already Bill Maher is trying to land a deal to get Sylvester Stallone on his show, and Stallone, get this, is reportedly in agreement to go on his show, regardless of their political differences. That too comes after how Sunny Hostin was the one to reject Sylvester Stallone from going on The View. You guys may be out of the loop on this, but Sylvester Stallone is a very open individual. He's not so one-sided when it comes to interacting with others. And that is one thing that I do deeply respect. This is exactly why Sylvester wanted to promote his other projects out there. One untitled project, a new film that's in the works. He wanted to promote the Family Stallone, his reality TV series, along with Tulsa King by Paramount on The View. He wanted to do that, and that all fell apart because of Sunny Hostin having a personal issue with him. And so it's quite hypocritical for her to actually take offense to Bill Maher basically doing the same thing because of what she spewed on live television and what she's trying to do on HBO by really kind of using that as an opportunity to self-promoting, her overall podcast that's in the works and really trying to double down on her agenda. Now again, I think that Bill Maher, at the end of the day, and I've said this before, is really coming across as a little inauthentic in a way. There have been examples where he agreed with Ben Stiller in many different cases. For example, with George Clooney, with Robert De Niro, he was all on their side for the longest time ever, and then suddenly he wants nothing to do with them. So in isolation, that seems like Bill Maher is coming across as inauthentic, and I get it, Bill Maher has differing views on politics, we all know this, but I think in this case, in isolation, it's really him kind of playing it safe to kind of keep a specific audience or a specific demographic within his audience, right? So overall, I think that Sunny Hostin is just in a downward spiral right now, and rightfully so. I think that she deserves everything that she's getting. I would love to hear what you all have to say about this ongoing scenario happening right now between HBO, The View, etc., etc. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.